I've got a bit of a soft spot for the Bricks builder, so I was excited to see when they released 1.3 the new ability to create and edit the templates for WooCommerce archive pages and also for the single post pages. So let's take a look at how they work and give you my first impressions on this recent update. Let's start by taking a very quick look at the changelog just to see where we are. This is Bricks Builder 1.3 at this point in time, releasing this. And what we have in 1.3 is the ability to create the archive pages and the single post page templates. So we can do that for WooCommerce, and what we should find if we come over and take a look at the roadmap is that we'll find that the second phase of this, which is the cart and the checkout page templates, should be coming before version 1.4. And also we're going to be taking a look at the account and the thank you page. So by the time we get to 1.4, we should have a fully featured WooCommerce templating system all set up to control pretty much all of the different steps that you have in a normal WooCommerce store. Not half now, half in 3 years' time, all within 1.3 point something. So that's pretty cool to see. Okay, so let's hop over into my setup of Bricks. And I'm in the template section, so we're just into Bricks and templates. And we're going to add a new template in. And we'll find now we can add a new template. If we take a look in the top where we select the type of template we want, you see we now have single product and we have product archive. So we have those extra template options set up for us so we can use those to create the templates for WooCommerce. So let's start off by creating the archive. Let's actually set that to be product archive. There we go. So once we've done that, we're going to drop in the title for this. We're just going to call this default product archive. And we'll just publish that, and then we'll edit it with Bricks. Okay, so once we open this up, we'll have the Bricks editor open and set up, and you can see I've got my global template options on here, the header, the footer, those kinds of things. Now, if we take a look on the left-hand side, you can see we've got a set of WooCommerce-based widgets specific to this particular template, the archive template. So we've got various different tools we can use inside here. First things first, let's create a container to contain what we want to put inside here. So we're going to use the container option. Now, one thing I want to draw your attention to, because I really like this about working with Bricks, is there's a lot of thought goes into the various different components. And if we take a look at the container, you can see in the top left-hand corner of that widget, we have this little layout option. We click on that. That allows us to set up some basic information, the number of containers, the alignment, the direction, those kinds of things when we create or insert the container. And like I say, if we want to insert multiple containers, for example, we'll set 2 inside there. That opens up extra options now, so we can insert the container margin and the container padding. Really simple little things, but make the whole process of working with this much quicker and easier. All these options are still available. So if we, for example, we don't use that, we just insert a container, we can insert that. We select our container, and those options are still available in the left-hand section anyway. But it's nice to see that we have that inside the option to create the container right at the beginning. Just opens up a lot of really cool use cases where you want to speed up your insertion process, shall we say. And yeah, pretty cool. I just like that side of things. Well thought out. Okay, let's just insert a basic single container. So this is going to be where we're going to place all the different parts of our template. Let's easy come into this now, and if we want to, we can add a bit of margins and padding and those kinds of things. So really cool to see. Just love the fact that you can interact with this on the page. You can eyeball it. Job done. Okay, now let's come back in and add our elements in. Brings us back to all the normal options. And you can see we could just drag in our products, drop that inside there, and this is going to pull in our product layout. And as you can see, it looks like a typical product layout you'd expect to see in most WooCommerce template building side of things. But we have a lot more options now. You can, if you want to, with this selected, you can come in and control various different options inside here. So we can take a look at the left, and we've got the query, fields, layout, and widgets. Now, let's just take a look first of all at the query side of things. This is where we can control the number of products we want to display on the page. Let's just say we want to put 6 on the page, and you can see that now sets up 6 on there. So pretty cool, easy to do. We can order these then by whatever we want, whether they're based upon price. So we say we'll put the price on option in there, and you can see that now puts this in from the highest price to the lowest price, those kinds of things. You can then choose to ascend or descend on that, so you can flip those around if you want to. Easy. All the things you kind of need for a really basic listing. Then we've got the option for product types. So you can see if you have simple products, group products, those kinds of things, you can group these together if you want, or you can pull them out, you can create templates for them, and then apply different conditions and things. So we'll leave that as it is. We want to show all our different products, and then we can choose to include or exclude products. And the nice thing about this is we don't have to necessarily go straight in and start searching. It will pull up a selection of products inside here anyway. But you can if you want to. So let's just say we start typing in long. You can see that says we can include this particular product if we want to. And the same goes for the exclude options. So if you want to exclude a specific product, let's just say this polo, we can just do that, and that's taken out of our archive. Really simple, nothing that's going to break the sort of like the mold here. However, it is nice to see how well thought out this is. If you're using product categories, like we've got set up inside here, you can come in and you can choose what product category or categories you want to include. So we can say we only want to show clothing, for example, and that will only show the clothing. We can also add extra ones in, so we can say we want to include music inside here. You can see, let's just say we'll get rid of the clothing and only show music, and only music is now being shown. So, you know, these are the kinds of things you're probably used to with most page builders that you've seen. And if you're using tags, you've got the same thing inside here as well. Then we have some radio boxes for just displaying things that are on sale, featured, or hiding out of stock items. So if you're using stock management, you could use the hide out of stock. So for example, we've got a couple of featured products. We can select that, and then we could create a featured product layout using this particular setup if we wanted to. Same thing goes for on sale. And there we go, we've got a couple of products that are on sale and we can list those. And you can stack these if you want to, so you can have on sale and being featured. So that could be quite cool if you wanted to. And then we have fields. And this, if you've seen my video where we took a look at creating different sort of post archives and post layouts and things like that, your typical loop, then this is going to be very familiar to you. But all this really is the key components that make up this loop item. And the loop item is basically the photograph, the featured image, the name of the product, the price, and the button, the add to cart button, and so on. But we can change those around. We can reorder them if we want to. We might say we want to put the image after the name of the product, for example, and you can see that flips it around. Really easy to do. And we can open this up and we can change the HTML tag, apply margins to it, edit the typography, all the styling options you want. But the thing that I really like about this is we kind of have a simplified loop builder. So we can stack normal default WooCommerce or WordPress meta information, tags, those kinds of things inside this design. But we could also, if we wanted to, and we'll be using it, reference dynamic data. So if you're using a tool like Metabox or ACF and you augment your WooCommerce products with additional field information, you can easily reference that inside here. So I don't have anything set up at the moment. This is just a kind of first look, but I just want to show you. You can see we've got the dynamic data option like we'd expect with most of the sort of options we have using Bricks. And we can click on there and then we have all of these different options, including the site, the data, those kinds of things. If we scroll right the way down the bottom, you can see there's ACF fields. Now these ACF fields are associated with just ordinary posts, but if they were associated with a product, we could reference that and pull that inside here as well and create semi-customized loop items. So I really do like the fact that that's built in from the get-go. And this, I think, is one of the strengths that we have with Bricks Builder, is that the developers behind it are very conscious of the fact that dynamic data makes up a massive part of a serious web designer's sort of portfolio, their toolkit, things that they want to use. So I love the fact that all of this is inserted into Bricks Builder from the get-go. Loving that. So when this is kind of fully featured and we have all the different components for working with Bricks Builder and WooCommerce, you can expect a dedicated tutorial where I'll show you how to build a WooCommerce site using Bricks, how to customize it, and also we'll take a look then at how we can build all the template files, as well as how we can include dynamic data into the whole building process. So if you want to know about that, make sure you hit that subscribe button to be notified as soon as that's released. Okay, so then we have the layout option, and then we can choose the number of columns and the gap between our different entries. So let's just say we want to set this to be something like 2, and we could just type in 2 inside there, and now we get a side-by-side layout. Now, again, it's one of those things that this would make more sense to be included alongside the query side of things, so everything is contained in the same location. We don't have to sort of jump between the two, just would make a little bit more sense in my opinion, but no dramas. So let's just set that to be 3, and there we go. So that looks okay. And then we can come in and we can adjust the gap inside there if we want to, so we can tighten things up, or we can give ourselves a bit more space. And you're not limited to using pixels. You can use whatever kind of measurements that you want, ems, rems, pixels, percentages. You can even use things like calc and stuff like that. So you have a lot of control. Even though you may at first think you're kind of limited with what you can do with Bricks Builder, there's a ton of options available inside you. And you simply click inside there and you can just start typing in what you want or just choose from one of the selected options. Pretty cool to see. Then you've got your widgets. Now, if you're not sure what a widget is in the example of working with bricks, we come to working with templates. In this context, it's to do with things like the pagination, the product count, those kinds of things. So you can see, we can say before the grid, do we want to put pagination in? And you can see that puts our pagination in there. Do we want to put extra items in, like the result count? How many products are we looking at from how many in total? And the third option is the order by option, which gives us that sort of filter option inside there, so we can click and we can order these by the normal things. So great to see that they're included straight out of the box, and we can just choose those before and after. So we may want to say, well, pagination in this example makes more sense at the bottom. So we'll just say, we've got show after grid, we'll put pagination inside there, and there we go. There's our pagination. Pretty cool. And nothing too complex about it. But you don't have to use these options. So let's just say we'll take those out and we'll remove all those completely. We can, if we want to get a little bit more granular in how we build things, come out of this and just go back to add in a new element, and you can see they're all available to you inside here. So your product pagination, your totals, your product order by, your product filters, those kinds of things are all available here. So you can customize the look of this, and with these options you get even more control over how things work. So we can say, let's drop the product filter inside there. You can see we haven't set a product filter, so we just need to configure that. We're just going to change it, and we'll say this product filter is going to be taxonomy, for example. And filter by product categories, there we go. Filter input, you can see we can use a drop down, radial list, and so on. So this is where I say it gives you more control over how this all kind of works. Do you want to show empty terms? Do you want to hide the title? Lots of options inside there, and then you can click. It all works the way you'd expect. So really simple to see. Really cool to see that we can do this. So you can just delete that from there if you want to. Say yes, we want to get rid of it. And then you can drop in a title if you want to inside there as well. So we have full control over how these different components look, work, those kinds of things. Now, one of the things I'm kind of curious to see is, because this is my first look at this as well, is what we can do with these images. Let's come back to our fields, open our featured image, and do we have any real options inside here? Doesn't really look like we have a huge amount of control over the sort of setting, the proportion, the scales. We're probably going to still be reliant upon how WooCommerce sets this up, so we'd have to use the WooCommerce settings for that, which is a little bit of a shame. It would be nice to see, to have control over how these images scale, and we could override potentially what WooCommerce gives us, so we then have the template level control over how these will look, display, and how we can interact with them, those kinds of things. But this is the first version of this coming out, and I'm sure these are the kinds of things we will see expanded upon as this portion of Bricks Builder expands and grows. But let's just say we're happy with the way that that all looks. We can now just come up and save this, and if we want to preview it, we can just click and we can see, okay, this is exactly how it looks. And if you want to test things out on the front end, you can just use the front end option, and you can just make sure that everything works the way you expect it to. So this is the default layout now for the single product. So we'll take a look at doing that next. So now that we've seen how to go about creating the archive template for our products, let's move over and take a look at the single product template and how we can work with that. So like we did when we created the archive, we're just going to create a new template. And from here, once we add the new option in, we'll just call this single product template. And we'll choose the template type and just say that's single product. Publish it, and then we're good to go editing this with Bricks. So let's just open up Bricks, and we'll find now that, like we get with Elementor, for example, now the options on the left hand side are to do with the product information as opposed to the archive. So all the same kind of options are available. So let's just drop in a couple of containers. Let's just insert one container, and inside there, let's just drop in a couple more containers. So like we've done before, we'll drop in 2 containers this time. And we'll say insert container, and you see that puts the containers inside. What we need to do now is just set these to be horizontal on the main container. There we go. So there's our container structure. You can rename these if you want to. So we'll just say we click on this one and we can just call this left, and we could call this one right if we wanted to, just so we know what's what. Again, one of those things that I quite like, how easy this is all to set up. Select our main container at the top, and we can make a bit of breathing space inside there. That'll do. Same at the bottom, somewhere around there. Looking pretty cool. Okay, so now we can just grab the various different widgets. So we can come back over to our elements and we can just grab what we want in. Now, first thing to bear in mind is if you want to grab the image for a particular product, you're going to have to use the normal image option. So let's just grab the image widget, drop that into our left-hand column, and we just got to tell it now what image we want to use. So as with pretty much everything inside Bricks, we can come in and grab the dynamic data. So we'll just choose the dynamic option and just set featured image. Job done. Simple as that. And then we can just adjust the options inside there to get the quality we want, the size, those kinds of things. So let's leave that as it is. Make a little bit of space around this so we've got some breathing room around there, and we'll do exactly the same inside here. We'll just add a little bit of spacing around there. And this is what I'm kind of talking about. I just like the fact we can just quickly eyeball this. If you want to tighten things up and sort of streamline everything, we can do that once you've kind of got the basic design into position, into place. Okay, so let's come back over. We can just now start dragging in the different widgets that we want for the various different components that make up our particular product. So we'll grab the short description, for example. We'll drop that inside there. There's our simple product. Probably could do with a little bit more information. Product meta. Again, we can drop that inside there. Start building this up the way that we want. And then finally, we can do things like, for example, the add to cart option. And just position that where we want. Now, if sometimes you find you struggle a little bit with this, you can just use the right-hand column in the same way you can with most of these kind of builders. So we just position that where we want and give it a second or two. Oh, wrong one. Add to cart. Drop that underneath there. Job done. So once we've done that, we could then select any of these if we want to and adjust the styling, adjust the padding, the margins, typography, all the kind of things you would expect to be able to edit. So nothing that we haven't already seen. I mean, this works in a very similar fashion to what you've got if you used Elementor, I would assume if you use Divi, and those kinds of things. But that doesn't detract from the fact that this is still version 1.3 in this example. So this has only been out a couple of months and we've already got about a third of what we need to be able to build custom WooCommerce sites. This is why I'm kind of like pretty excited to see where Bricks is going to go. Now, there's a lot of page builders out there on the market right now. Tons of them. And obviously the debate about a page builder is still going to be relevant with things like Gutenberg. But I think what Bricks are doing is going about it the right way. I'm excited to see where they go with this, as you probably already know. Okay, so let's just say we're happy with everything we've got inside there. All the widgets we want are in there. Now we can go ahead. Well, actually, we probably want to put the price in, otherwise people are not going to know how much this is going to cost them. So we'll just choose that option and select that. And then we've got some extra options. So do you want to hide the regular price? If you've got a sale price, and do you want to change the typography, the font size, and so on? So you can make it bigger if you want to. You can adjust the text color. All those options are available to you to edit the sale price when you've got that listed inside there. Okay, so pretty cool. I like how easy all this is. Let's go ahead and insert another container. So we'll just go to the bottom of this, insert our container. Add that inside there. So we go. So now we've got a container underneath. And now what we can do is we can do things like pull in the product tabs. So all the things you would expect inside the product tab options are inside there. Let's just make sure that everything is set up the way we want. Now, sometimes you get to the point where it doesn't always work the way you expect it to. So sometimes it's worth saving and just hitting the reload canvas to let that reload, and you can see that pulls in that missing info. It's a little bit frustrating, but it's not the end of the world. You know, it's a little bit of a quirk. But now we can go ahead and we can just add in any extra features, style everything the way you want it to, all those kinds of things. So we'll say we want to put in something like the related products. We'll drop that underneath there as well, if we can get it in where I want. Okay, so again, bit of a quirky thing with the interface sometimes. Let's just drag that down, position that there. But nice to see that the interface itself is still pretty straightforward and simple to work with anyway. So we can reposition anything if we have a problem with it, to make a little bit of space inside there. And you can also drop in the normal thing. So you could say you want to put a heading in. We can drag and drop that into there, and we can just say you know, change this to related products or something. And select it, bit of spacing above. There we go. Love the fact I can just eyeball these things. So much quicker and easier to just tweak my design to get it where I want. Okay, so that's how easy it is to go ahead and start adding these different things in. So if you've got like product additional information and product upsells, those kinds of things, you can drop everything inside here and then go ahead and style everything. So for example, we come into this, we can come into styles, we can adjust our layout on there. You know, you can adjust all the relevant things that you want to make sure this looks the way you want, including animations and so on. So I don't think I'm talking about something that's reinventing the world. I think it's just a case that it's so simple and quick and easy to do that you should be pretty much used to working with this kind of thing. So for example, we come in now and take a look at our awful looking design. We can at least see that everything is inside there, all the info we want, all set up. Pretty cool and really easy to see. There we go. That's the roundup of the new features for WooCommerce in Bricks 1.3. I'm excited to see where this goes now with the next version. We can start to work with the cart and the checkout pages. For me, I'm really excited at the fact that Bricks, right from the onset, is working with dynamic data, WooCommerce templates, and so many other things. They really are taking on board what us as serious designers really need to get the job done. So I'm excited to see where this all goes with the whole WooCommerce side of things and beyond. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Has this piqued your interest? Would you look at Bricks in the future, or do you already have it? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now, as always, if you found value in this video, give it a thumbs up, really does help me out. But if you've got no value from it, well, hit the thumbs down button twice. That works pretty well too. My name is Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.